How you doing? I'm Z Shep. This is the Be Artist, Be Athlete podcast, where we take a closer look at players, coaches, all personnel essential to the growth and success of the RU athletics department. So join us as we take a closer look, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's start the show. And welcome to the Be Artist, Be Athlete podcast. Again, I am your host, Z Shep, and today we have a very special guest. Everybody's special, but today is extra special because we have Danielle. Tell me if I'm saying this right. LaPergola.
LaPergola.
Yes. And I have it phonetically here too.
It's okay.
Say it again.
LaPergola.
LaPergola.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. What is that? Is that
Italian?
It's Italian?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you are the head athletic trainer since 2023.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've been in sports medicine for close to 10 years?
This is my 8th year being certified.
8th year
but
certified.
I mean, you do it all throughout college, so.
Okay. All right. And what you do here is you're an advisor to the RU Student Athlete Advisory Committee.
I am, yes. I'm one of them, which has been extra special because this is my first time being on that at any university.
Oh, okay. So it was like an accomplishment for you, like, yes, finally.
I think it is, it definitely is. Being an athletic trainer, we see the student athletes every day, and not just with our teams not just at games. All the student athletes, most of them are coming in and out of the athletic training room. Mm-hmm. So we see a good bit every single day, and we build relationships with them every day as well. So being on, we can kind of promote what's going on within SAC, but now that myself and then one of my assistants, Katie, is on SAC as well, in addition to Mitch and Michael, we get to see them and kind of tell all the student athletes who might not be going to the meetings to give them some encouragement and kind of let them know what's going on as well.
Okay. All right. Good. So let's talk about that. So that's part of your role on the committee. Mm-hmm. And you're encouraging students to participate in what kind of activity? If you was a student right now, you would say, hey, just so you know, there's this kind of resource and that kind of resource. What kind of resources would you say?
Yeah, so I think just as a whole, the student athlete committee is getting all the student athletes together, and that's my favorite part. Mm-hmm. We have monthly meetings and then kind of let the student athletes know that if there's something that needs to be brought to the attention to someone higher up going on, or they have any questions, that they can talk to any of us. Mm-hmm. And just kind of build that relationship to not be scared to communicate.
So it's making it a safe space.
Yeah. We make it a safe space. But I mean, my favorite part about it is just bringing all the student athletes together, because most of the time teams spend a lot of times with themselves. And I think that this is a space where all the teams get together and intermingle. So it's definitely been a great experience. We had a game night one night. I think they're doing karaoke. I'm not sure when this is going to be aired, but they'll do karaoke and cahoots next week. We have some yoga things to do, and just kind of try to get everyone involved with each other.
So it's like a community.
Yeah.
It's all listen, we're all student athletes here, being students, being athletes, you can come together. Mm-hmm. So if you're from wherever, you have a community here while you're going to school.
Yep. Yeah.
On and off the field.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And not just within your team. So it definitely expands it all. And we're a smaller athletic department with under 200 student athletes. So I think it's even more important to have everyone involved because we are a small community.
Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. So, what made you get interested in sports?
Okay. Growing up, I was always an athlete, and started with soccer. Definitely was not good at soccer. But then I transitioned to field hockey, swimming, and I actually rode crew as well. So in high school, I was a 3-sport athlete. I played field hockey my freshman year of college, but that's also when I was taking my classes to be an athletic trainer. So you kind of, after freshman year, you have to go to clinical, which of course was right in my my practice time. So I couldn't do that. But I've just always been involved in sports and always been an active kid. So that's kind of where that all started.
So you're like an athlete And now you're like an athlete doctor.
Not a doctor, but yes, I get to, and I just like I just also love the culture with sports.
Mhm.
So once I found out, like when I was in high school, I sustained a really bad concussion and I had to work with my high school athletic trainer. And that's when I kind of knew like what an athletic trainer was.
Mhm.
In high school, I don't think anyone knows what they want to be when they grow up in high school. You know, I was between like marketing, but I loved like health and fitness and being active. And I would watch all like the surgery shows on like the Discovery Channel and like love just like helping people in general. So when I was in high school and found out like what an athletic trainer was, I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to do that.
My mom is a nurse.
Yeah.
And so is my sister.
Yep.
And my wife.
Oh, okay.
And my other sister works in the medical, which is, wow. Think about it. That's crazy. But
Yeah.
they will watch the shows, specifically my older sister and my mom. And it's like, me and my dad were like, ew. But they were fascinated by it. It's like surgery. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you were like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah. Yep. No.
Wow.
I did. So
So it was your experience with your sport. What's it called? Your sports counselor, sport athletic
training.
The athletic training at your high school. It was like, man, this is what I needed. Because I'm assuming it's not just the physical aspect of it, but also there's some mental that comes with it. Because if you're an athlete, you're probably thinking like, go, you know what I mean? Like I gotta go. And then to have an injury, there's probably some psychological that goes along with that too. So when you say you kind of felt like, I'm assuming that you felt it was a safe space for you to be able to heal, not just physically, but also mentally. And you were like, this is something that I want to do for other athletes like myself.
Yep. Yeah. They were a support system. And like I said, I've always been involved with sports. And I think that's what kind of made me like, I don't want to stop this. You know, I want to keep going. But I had built a great relationship with my high school athletic trainers, and I was able to like observe them. Being a 3-sport athlete, like I was pretty busy within high school doing my own sports, but I watched them, like I like interned and watched them at like wrestling matches, which is crazy. A couple of my friends are athletic trainers for wrestling, and not something I want to do, but they absolutely love it. But yeah, I remember like seeing a couple injuries there. I think there was like a dislocated patella and like lots of blood that you have to clean up, and wrestling, everything's time. So it's like you kind of get a rush doing that. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then I think from there, I never looked back. And I was like, all right, now what do I have to do?
So it's almost like a sport in and of itself.
Yep.
Obviously, you have to be safe because you're dealing with medical stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all like, okay, this is it. This is what you trained for.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When I rode crew, one of my best friends who was on my boat, right before a race, she was like, oh, I'm going through all the emotions. And like as an athletic trainer, you still get to experience that, you know, because especially in the collegiate setting, like when you have your dedicated sports, like you're there with them for all their practices, for all their games, like you know everything that's going on. And you get excited with that as well. Like pregame is like one of my favorite times because you're going through all the emotions, and it's just like the energy is really high, and like you get to be involved in that.
So it's like we're all the team. It's like we're still the team.
Yeah.
Or the trainers, we see the highs, we see the lows.
Yeah.
We're there for the wins, for the losses. It's all like we're all here together.
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's pretty fulfilling.
Oh yeah. It's the best job in the world.
Yeah. So you kind of probably, I would assume, like a mentor for a lot of people that like look up to you, like she's one of the good ones.
I would hope people say that. That's like what I like coming in here, you know, I always like think like you should leave something better than you found it. And like I came in here wanting to develop a space that is welcoming to all, and like a safe space for everyone, and a place that everyone enjoys coming to. Because as an athletic trainer, our least favorite thing is telling your coach that a certain athlete can't play. And that's like not what we want to say. Like obviously, like when you can't play, you can't, but we will make sure that you get there so that you can.
Nice. So before here, there was the previous Pac West member, Holy Names.
Yes.
That you were at. How would you say that prepared you for your work here at RU?
So at Holy Names, I was hired on as an assistant athletic trainer. I finished 4 years at my previous school. I was an intern for 2 years and a graduate assistant for 2 years. I never like thought about ever being a head athletic trainer. But then when I was at Holy Names, the head left and I was the only other full-time staff. So I kind of got, I don't want to say thrown into it, because my athletic director was like, all right, like the choice is yours. Like, do you want to be the head or like stay the assistant? He's like, if you stay the assistant, you're still going to have to do everything you would do at the head because it's only you. So I think that being at Holy Names kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone, because I would have never applied to be a head athletic trainer. I just, coming out of school, like, or school in my experience, it just wasn't something that I really wanted to do. And at Holy Names, like, I had no other option. So that definitely prepared me and gave me the confidence in myself to trust myself and know, like, this is something that I can definitely do. And it definitely helps having like the staff that I had there supported me in every way possible and made it an easier transition for me. So I think that having that has prepared me to come into Academy of Art and be their head athletic trainer, because that's where I got my experience.
So then people look to you as a leader, and probably it's like, okay, there's a bit of nerve when you're thinking like, I don't want to like say or do the wrong thing. And I probably feel like that's why people usually shy away from leadership. But that experience there was all like, no, you're capable of being the one. You are the person. And you can be the person. And the camaraderie that you had and the people that you have were like, yes, we believe in you. Oh, yeah. You can do it. So when you came here, you're like, I'm confident I can step into this role. I'm confident that I can come in and make it better than and leave it better than I found it. Yeah, no, definitely. I would say, like, honestly, at Holy Names and here, the athletic department staff, they're like my biggest hype men and women. Like, they definitely support, like when I was at Holy Names, my athletic director was like, I think you're going to do a great job at this. And like, we would love for you to do this. And just him believing in me and kind of helped me with that. And then also being just across the bridge, like I already knew who Brad was. I already knew a good bit of the athletic department at Academy of Art just from being in the same conference and being in close proximity of each other. So it was nice also, like, even like coming here to Academy of Art, having that support from Brad and just him taking a chance on me. I mean, you say taking a chance, but obviously you know what you're doing because. Yes, I do. And speaking of what you're doing, like, what are some of your responsibilities as like the head trainer, like over it? Like, what are some of the things that you oversee? So day-to-day? I oversee 3 assistant athletic trainers in the athletic training room. And as an athletic trainer, we all have the same responsibilities. Like everyone has their separate, like their teams. And then kind of we care for them. But as a head, it's a little bit different. Just I have to do more administration stuff. Like we have our like weekly meetings, and I kind of am that connection between administration and my staff. And then just kind of, you know, building connections with like our team doctors, which I would say like my staff also have those connections as well. But it's just like being that main point person and just like bridging the gaps. But I know like people on my staff can talk to anyone else, but it's just more paperwork, honestly. Well, I'm hearing the leadership when you say, I know that I'm confident that somebody talks to anybody, they're going to get the right answer. Somebody talks to anybody, they're going to be taken care of because that's how you run the shop. Yeah. Right. That's how you do it. So, so that's good. That's cool. So do you have any like stories? Like what's the most memorable stories that you have that you can share? That are like, you know, we were down and then I had to fix somebody's ankle and I fixed. Yeah. You know, honestly, I don't like, I was thinking and like, everyone's like, oh, like what's your most like memorable moment? And I think for a lot of like players and coaches, it is that like that moment in their sport. But for me, it's really not the moments that are memorable. It's just the people, you know, like I've had in my 8 years of being certified, like an amazing experience with all of my student athletes, coaches, and administration. And I think like this job in general is, it's not an easy job. Like you work a lot, you work long hours, long days, and it's like your life revolves around your team. But I think that it being with the people that you're with and like
like I said, I've had a great experience, is that the people make it worth it.
Mhm.
So I think just like the most memorable would be just kind of meeting all these people from like all these different places and all these different backgrounds.
Okay. So then like, I mean, that sounds pretty awesome. So for you, seeing the journey of a student athlete that's like, hurt and has to go
Mhm.
through rehab
Yeah.
and then returning to their respective sport, what's that like? Is it like I was able to help them continue on their path for their dream? And even if it off of the court, you're still able to prepare them to be like, there's still a dream that you can follow. Like, what's
Yeah.
that like?
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part, Like I said, like no one wants to tell their coach that someone can't play, especially when they have like a season-ending injury, for instance. Like a lot of the times, like ACLs in general take like 9 months to a year to get back.
Mhm.
So that's a lot of time that you're with someone. And for a lot of the times, like you're seeing them like every single day, and like you build a great relationship with them, and like you go through the highs with them, but you also go through the lows with them as well.
Right.
But honestly, like the moment that they like are back, I always get a little teary-eyed just because like it's an emotional moment for them, but also for me.
I can imagine. And
Yeah.
I mean, you seem like you're very passionate about it. So it's like, they're not your kids,
Yeah.
but at the same
But they
time,
are.
you know what I mean? Yeah, right.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, I know you're an adult, but at the
Yeah.
same time,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
oh, my baby, like, here you go.
Yeah. And like my first year as a certified, half the kids, like I worked football my first year, and half the kids on the team were all older than me, but they were still like I still thought of them like as my children, because like, you care for them so much. And like I said, you go through the highs and the lows with them. And when you get to experience those like amazing moments, it's great.
Yeah. I totally makes sense. Like the position that you're in, that's probably why you're good at that's what you do. That's probably why you're the head trainer, because I feel like that's important. It's having like that human connection aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like it's not just sports medicine, but it's like, it goes deeper.
Yeah.
That,
Yep.
right?
No, I'm definitely not going to sit here and say I'm the smartest person in the world, because I'm not, but I'll tell you that I care the most.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's, no qualms from me.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are your future accomplishments that you want to be able to say? I know you said you want to leave it better than how you found it. Like, where do you see yourself taking the direction of the training department here?
Yeah, I mean, I just want it to continue to grow and to be a safe space for everybody, and to kind of make it, I think, even just from last year to this year, like last year, my first year, it was just kind of like, all right, let's see how everything is going.
Mhm.
And then from here, like, let's make it better.
Mhm.
And I've have got a lot of great feedback, and I just want to make sure that it continues to be that way, for a great place where the student athletes aren't scared to come in or aren't scared to talk to us about anything. Like a lot of people think that we're here just for their physical health and their physical well-being, but we're also here for their mental health as well. So when a
And
student
emotional,
athlete,
probably, too.
yeah, and emotional. So when a student athlete comes to us and they're telling us about something going on in their life, like I'm happy that I get to help them and that they feel confident enough in us to tell us, and like to be their safe space for them. So I just
Nice.
want to make sure that it continues to be that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm 100% disabled and I got some ailments, but we can talk about that.
Okay.
Maybe you can give me some pointers on how to like wake up and not have a back that is hurting. All right.
Yeah.
But I look forward to seeing, the future of the training department. I feel like it's going to be successful with you on there, because I can see how much you care and how much you're passionate about it. So, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having
All
me.
right. And hey, we want to take a quick time out. We want to take a moment to thank one of our amazing sponsors, Relation Insurance Services. Relation is your go-to partner for all things insurance. Whether you're looking for a personal coverage, business solutions, or specialized insurance needs, Relations has got you covered. They offer a wide range of services, including workers' compensation, general liability, property insurance, loss control and claims, and employee benefits. With Relation, you can expect an elevated client service experience and expert advice for a team of dedicated professionals who work tirelessly to ensure you have coverage that fits your unique needs. So if you're in the market for insurance, look no further than Relation. Visit their website at relationinsurance.com or give them a call at 800-404-4969 to learn more about how they can help protect what matters most to you. Thank you, Relation, for your support, and thank you, fans, for watching.
ArtU men's and women's track and field excelled at both the Stanford and Brutus Hamilton Invitationals, challenging NCAA Division I opponents throughout. Highlights included Lena Hannick delivering another program record in the 800 meters by running the 7th fastest time in NCAA D2 history, Trayshawn Bowie improving his outdoor nationals provisional mark in the 400 meters, and Yakuba Nako becoming one of 13 D2 triple jumpers to surpass 50 feet this year. Urbanites among the top 10 in the country in their respective events are Bowie in the 400 meters, Hannick in the 800 meters, and Robin Black in the 400 meter hurdles. ArtU softball earned back-to-back victories over Northwest Nazarene on March 27th and Vanguard on March 29th. Sophomore pitcher utility Kayla Vaughn capped a 4-run first-inning rally with a 2-run single that then proceeded to allow just one hit the rest of the way while striking out 5 Nighthawks in the 7-1 win. 2 days later, it was consecutive RBI singles from sophomore outfielder Ari Malari and senior catcher Liberty Herrera that keyed a 3-2 Pacific West Conference triumph over the Lions.
That was your Be Artist, Be Athlete podcast sports update. Back to the show. All right, and welcome to the Be Artist, Be Athlete podcast. I am your host again, Z Shep, and today we have our guest, Michael Morini. I said that right?
Yeah,
I struggle. I be struggling.
No, you got the Italian perfectly.
Cool. Awesome. And you are the Associate Athletics Director of Finance Operations.
Finance and operations, that's correct. So a little bit of everything. Dabble in all parts of the department.
All right, and so you do the budget, and there's also gameplay roles that you have.
Right. So we have our director of ops, Brady, who kind of handles everything on a day-to-day aspect for home games.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you could say sometimes I'm the utility belt. I'll show up, help them out, whether it's in-arena PA, public announcing, camera work, stuff like that. So any way I can help them on game day, I'm there for. But usually any game day related stuff, Rob, Mitch, Brady, and I kind of just take the back seat behind the scenes.
So you say utility belt. Is that a Batman reference? Because
it could be,
It's like, what? It's like, what can he do?
I'm probably their Robin when it comes to game day, but I'll take Batman.
All right. And then you're also on the student athlete advisory.
Yes, I've been doing that for four years now, helping our student athlete advisory committee, just trying to give them the best opportunity to develop themselves. We love pushing, giving back to the community and doing volunteer work within the community. We've done some great things over the last couple of years, and just trying to provide them with more opportunities outside of just being students and outside of being student athletes. We like to do a welcome back beach party to build the department camaraderie. We do all sorts of game nights, movie nights, and then that eventually all cultivates into the end of the year where we do the end of the year banquet, the Arties. That's put on through the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and our student athletes do a great job there of putting that together, from the design of the stage, the scripts with Rob and Mitch, and presenting the awards. So I love doing that. The whole point of what we do is to give back and to give the student athletes the best platform possible, not only for their current self, but to build up to what they become later in life. So being an advisor on the Student Athlete Advisory Committee is just one of the best parts of this job.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You make me want to be, you know what I'm saying?
I think we could bring someone else on.
No, I'm a student too. So, so what's the beginning for you? Like what sparked your interest in sports? And then how'd you get your start in the industry?
Well, it was pretty easy originally growing up because I had a father who played linebacker and running back at Morini Catholic and was all state, all American, whatever you want to call it, had offers to play college football back in the 70s. So I always had a father figure who was really into sports. And just as far as I can remember, photos from being 2-3 years old, I'm in Raider gear or Sharks gear, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had it. And never was the biggest person. I'm still not the biggest person, but I always just had that drive to compete in sports, play in sports. Started going to Raider games as an 8, 9-year-old with my family back at the Coliseum in Oakland. So I always had that love for it. And when it comes to getting into the industry, back in high school, I had a high school buddy, his father and another friend of his, Mike Shapiro, who was a longtime Major League Baseball executive. They developed a independent league baseball team called the San Rafael Pacifics, who now play in the Pecos League. So still independent level, but they're professional athletes. And I just started, you know, working concessions there the summer they became a team, I think my sophomore year of high school. And I did that for 4 years, which eventually led to an internship with the front office doing marketing, game day promotion, those kind of things. But that was my first step in the door with athletics and professional sports. So I definitely owe a lot to Eugene Lupario, Mike Shapiro for taking a chance on me. And it just shows like you could start as something like I did concessions and
Yeah, I was gonna say you grinded it out.
did that for 3 summers, over high school, which was great, right? It was awesome to be at the ballpark every day, over the summer. But again, that led into an internship where I got that experience of a front office, professional team, right? These are paid athletes at this level. So to get my foot in the door and just have something on my resume, just to start a resume, was extremely huge for me.
So you went from managing concessions to managing team finance.
I mean, I wasn't even managing the concessions. I was literally ringing up your hot dog or your popcorn. But yes, it just shows like you just need something to get that foot in the door, right? And even to this day, like Mike Shapiro, I mean, he's worked with the Nationals, the Baltimore Orioles. He used to work with Tiger Woods, right? He's been everywhere in the sport world, and he's still someone I talk to a lot. Just trying to get an idea of his thoughts on how I should shape my career, what I should do. So even from that, just getting mentors out of a small part-time summer job. It's possible. You just got to take the opportunity.
And you've been places. So it's from St. Mary's to the Oakland A's. Like you've been places. How'd you end up here at RU?
Well, so it kind of a trickle effect, right? I was with the Oakland A's and St. Mary's, working both jobs at the same time when I was in grad school and undergrad. And I had a friend, she used to work here. She was a director of operations. And for about 8 months, she was telling me, hey, we have this position open. You should come apply. And I was just kind of, thinking to myself, like, I'm in grad school. I've never had this full-time job with the words athletic director in it, right? Like now I'm thinking this is a big time job. And, the A's was part-time. St. Mary's was an internship and was a great experience. But I'm like, there's no way I can get this job. I'm not even going to apply. And after, I don't know, 5, 6 months of applying to other jobs that I thought were obtainable, I decided to apply to this job. And after interviewing, 3 or 4 or 5 rounds, I got it, and at the time I still felt like I wasn't ready for the job. But I think it just shows to everyone else, take the opportunity, believe in yourself.
For sure.
It's possible. Just put yourself out there and give yourself a chance to succeed. And that's what happened.
Wow. So you were like, let me try to shoot lower in your mind. But the place where you're like, is what? That's a big title. That's a lot. So it was like a little intimidating because you were thinking like, no, but
Oh, it was so intimidating. I mean,
I just listened to your story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Like,
coming from
From hot dogs to hot rods. Like, what
yeah, even in the interview process, like I'd be leaving a study session for finals to go do this interview with Brad Jones, our AD, and Dan Emerson, right? So in my mind, I'm going, how can I be studying for kinesiology 360 or whatever? And here I am now interviewing a collegiate athletic director or an assistant AD job, So again, it was getting through that mental block of just realizing like I'm meant to be here. This is what I've prepared for. So again, just believing in yourself and taking that chance.
100% is like you just had to like get out of your own head. I think that's a good message because a lot of times we kind of block our own success or get in the way of our own success because we think, what if it's not meant? But then it's like, well, what if the answer is yes? What if it does work out?
Totally. And I think it's just getting over the fear of the unknown, right? Like I didn't know necessarily what this job entailed. And there was all this talk of finance and all these things that as a 22-year-old kid can be scary, right? You're thinking of managing these big budgets and, dealing with rosters of 30, 40 people can be scary. But once you get past that mental roadblock, I think everyone's okay.
Because there's nothing that you're not equipped or ready to handle. It's not like you're equipped to do this,
Right.
But it's just a thought of, but yeah, everybody's a person like in that position, right?
Totally.
Even though if you look at it's like, oh, this is a big name, but the person in that title is just a person. They get dressed just like everybody else. They just were in there and then had qualifications, and you have those same qualifications.
Right. And I think like the perfect example is that was when I was between those jobs, I also picked up another internship, which was working for Donald Foyle, former Golden State Warriors center. And I remember when I applied to that internship, it was like, how the heck does, again, a college age kid work with an NBA agent and a former NBA center who now
So you
does
just weren't paying attention to your own success. You're like, no, it's me.
Perhaps, but it was just the fact that like once you got to meet, like you were saying, like once I met a Donald Foyle, I realized he was just another person,
Right.
down to earth individual. Like yes, he's played in NBA playoff games and does NBC Bay Area every night after Warriors game, but just a down to earth person. So again, not letting titles and perhaps a person's name deter you from pursuing something.
Because now there's probably people who look at you the same way until they talk to you and be like, no, I'm on this. Come on, I'm on the committee for the students. Like, come on, guys. I'm here to make it a safe space, but it's probably the same. Look, now you're like, no. Yeah, because now you have the title, so people probably looking and be all like, oh.
Yeah, I guess it's. I hope they don't look at it that way. I hope everyone knows they can come to me. But it's perfect example, right? Again, just taking that opportunity and believing in yourself, I think is the biggest thing. Sometimes it's hard to believe in yourself when, like we've talked about, you've done these things that prepared you to do what you're about to do. Now you just gotta go do it.
Yeah. So, what are some of your responsibilities, as far as like finance operations goes?
Well, we like to say I'm the most hidden person in the department because I don't, other than being involved with the student athlete advisory committee, which is 3 or 4 years for me now, I don't have a ton of interaction with the students. But I do a lot of the kind of like being on the road stuff. I book all of our travel, whether it's hotels, airfare, rental cars. And from that aspect, it's just about trying to make any kind of travel as seamless as possible for the student athletes, but especially for our coaches, right? Because if something goes wrong, the coaches are the ones that have to deal with that. So I want to make sure the student athletes, get to the airport smoothly, get through security smoothly. When it comes to hotels, like check in when they get there. We don't want students having to wait to get in a room. Send up study. We'll rent out banquet and meeting rooms to give them study spaces so they can continue to work on their studies while they're on the road. Breakfast, having all those things available to them to put them in a scenario that's as much as like if you were a professional athlete, right? Like you're never thinking as a professional athlete, like where's my next meal coming from?
Exactly.
Like when can I check in? When can I do this? Like I'm just trying to make their day as seamless as possible when they're on the road so they can continue to be successful on the field, but also like we talked about, spending that downtime, having, good areas where they can, do their schoolwork and those kind of things. But other than that, just a lot of behind the scenes stuff, right? Like someone's got to get the equipment. I work with our Nike rep LJ and our coaches staff to get them whatever they need from an equipment side. And then there's just so much, financial stuff that the general person doesn't think about when it comes to running an athletic department.
100%.
Whether it comes to the bills we have, from facilities or just day-to-day operational needs for the teams and the coaches, especially here, at Academy of Art where we don't have our own facilities. And even just getting to practice is another step in terms of, infrastructure and the billing and the payments that have to happen with that. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Seems really intricate. Like there's gas that fuels the buses and the shuttles, the transportation getting there. And then once you get in there, like you said, having it be seamless because we, like you said, professional athletes aren't thinking, oh, where's my next meal going to come from? Or where am I going to sleep? Because that's going to take your focus off of the game, right?
Right.
Or it's going to take your focus off of your studies. So yeah, you're student athletes, but if you're going somewhere, it's like the word seamless.
Right.
Like 100%. And I think people might take those things for granted. And it's almost like if it's something that you're not thinking about or you don't notice it, that's because you're doing a good job.
I hope
then
so.
once you do notice it, it's all like, oh, well, hold on. Just make sure that things are supposed to be, you shouldn't notice it.
I will say my worst nightmare is knowing a coaching staff or a team is on the road. And if my phone starts to go off and it's past 8 o'clock at night, I know something's wrong. and it might be
Yeah.
something we couldn't prevent. Sometimes there's things that happen with hotels or, flight delays or this or that. But the later it gets in the night, if I start getting calls, we know something's gone awry. Obviously, it's always fixable. But I think the perfect example is, we have our women's tennis championships coming up in Arizona. And that's a tournament where if you lose, you go home, right? There's no second game. You never know what day you're going home unless you make it to the finals. So that's a perfect example. If they lose, coach, student athletes shouldn't think about it. They should just know, hey, Michael's going to text us in 30 minutes, 40 minutes and let us know, hey, get to the airport. There's a flight there. Get on that. I've dealt with the hotel and checking out and all those kind of things. So again, just allowing the coach to focus on being the coach, even whether they win or lose. And I'll handle all those kind of logistics of how we're going to get them home or get them to their next destination safely.
Right. That's pretty. I mean, it's important. Like it wouldn't happen without you, essentially. So that's it's pretty big. It's pretty big. It's the truth. It's the truth because nobody's gonna get anywhere for free, right? So somebody has to be able to manage it and manage it effectively, right? So it is
Right.
that seamless transitions like you were talking about. Yeah, so that's cool. So that's pretty much what you do, like the day-to-day roles that people may not realize. It's all like, yeah, you see this equipment. Somebody had to purchase equipment.
Someone purchase it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many steps that
Had
go
to
into
be a purchase
everything.
order. Yeah,
I mean, even designing equipment, right? Like,
yeah,
what logos we using, what's the color scheme, what material are we using? Like all those kind of things go into it. And obviously I work very closely with the coaching staffs on what they need, but there are so many intricate aspects into it. It's not like Nike just knows and sends us 30 polos or 40 uniforms,
right.
right? Like we have to work hand in hand
It's
with
like,
Nike.
well, how's the material breathe? You know what I'm talking about? How heavy is it? You know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Like how, like we gotta sit there, even like the smallest part, like collecting, sizes, like track and field, like we got 40 student athletes and they each need, a pair of runners or spikes, what's their sizing, what spikes do they like? Like there's so many little details that go into it to try and set the student athletes up for success on the
Mhm.
field.
Wow, man. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a lot. It is a lot. Like I was in the Navy and I ran the store on the ship. And yeah, you have orders and people don't think about it. Like for you, it's a Snickers bar.
Right.
But for me, it's a product that's moving that I have to account for with inventory, and there's a line on it. That's B027 right there. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, I don't think that people, like I said, realize that. Like, okay, if we're pulling in, I mean, I'm going back to Navy, but if we're pulling in, all right, okay, so what are sales like, import versus outport, and then how do we make sure that we are successfully bringing in enough funds so that we have equipment, because it would go to like, equipment for the gym and stuff like that on the ship, or
Right.
basketballs for downtime. So I mean, yeah, you have to be able to pay attention to the stuff, and like you said, it's intricate, and you know that if there's everything is going smooth, it's like you're not hearing from anybody.
Right.
It's
Like my quietest
I don't wanna
days
hear-
are the best days.
Yeah, I want to hear nothing. That means that everything is great. All right. So the annual Art U Golf Classic that's held at is it the Wente Vineyards?
Yep. Went to golf course at the Vineyards.
So how involved are you with that? And like what is that?
I mean, to be honest, I'm probably the lead organizer, I guess is the best way to put it. But that's anywhere from a 8 to 10 month project, right? Like
Wow.
we got to, like, as soon as the event happens, we turn around and we got to start working with Wente on securing, a date for next year, getting the timing right. And again, there's so many details that go into a golfing event, whether it's the catering, right? Because we offer, a small breakfast, lunch, and then we do a happy hour, kind of like cocktail hour post event. So you got to think of catering. You got to think of the auction we do. Like, how do we collect and provide auction items, right? We want cool items there. So I think in the past, we've had, Jerry Rice signed jerseys. We've had,
Nice.
Muhammad Ali signed boxing gloves, things like that,
Nice.
right? That entice the people who are
Do you
coming to our
have
event.
any of those left over that
I might be able to get you one. I think I got something in my drawer back at the office. But there's so many aspects to it that, you wouldn't think of, right? Like the point is the donors and the alumni who come back. The point is they come, they have a great time golfing and, get to interact with our student athletes. But there's so much that goes into it because our student athletes do come out and have a presence at the event, right? We put them on different holes where they do activities with the golfers, right? Whether it's cornhole, maybe some speed pitch or whatever it might be. So again, how do we get, 50 student athletes from downtown San Francisco out to Livermore, California, right? So there's just always pieces that go into it, right? Getting a bus, being the student athletes. There's so many intricate parts. But it really is an 8 to 10 month project, and it all, develops with a 5 a.m. morning with Rob, Mitch, and Brady, and anyone else in the department. Waking up at 5, getting the vans and being out Wenty in the pitch black in the cold of October, but it makes it all worth it when you see the great time, the alumni, the volunteers, and even our current student athletes and coaches have interacting with those donors who come out for the event. So it's a great event, but it certainly is time consuming for me, especially in the fall semester.
Man, yeah, that sounds pretty big. Annual. And so how long has that been going on for?
I believe this year will be the 15th annual Golf Classic.
15th.
So it'll be we'll call it 5th I've put on. I've planned 6, but the pandemic had other ideas. But I've planned 6 so far. So I think we might have to get you out there.
Yeah, because I'm hearing it and I'm all like, yeah, I'm trying to see what that be like. What I mean? Get out there and have the podcast out there. You know what I mean? See what's going on.
We might make that happen. I don't know.
I mean, I'm very interested. I'm like, it sounds like I want to be there.
I mean, it's 18 holes, beautiful weather. Usually you're surrounded by the wine vineyards. It's a beautiful setup. Like, I know we love our partnership with Wenty. It's best day. A lot of work for some of us, but a lot of people get to enjoy it, and that's what matters.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's work for you, but I'll be able to enjoy it. So I want to go there so I can enjoy it. What's your future accomplishments that you want to be able to accomplish here at RU with your position?
I mean, I think my future accomplishments are just day to day, right? Like every day I hope, I'm impacting someone's life in a meaningful way, making their life better, even just on their daily, and I think that's really what my job, trickles down to is how do I impact them? They might not know it, right? The student athletes, aren't sitting there thinking who buys the equipment, who does travel, this or that, but I'm making their experience as student athletes possible.
100%.
And there's only so many student athletes, right? Like it's still a very finite amount of people who become collegiate student athletes. So to make them have a good, positive experience while they're here is all that really matters to me. Obviously, I hope that helps them win, right? We love winning championships and those kind of things.
Right.
And just the daily interactions, right? Like when I come into work, I love, seeing the hostess at the front desk. I love seeing our janitorial staff. Like all these connections I've made with people, whether they're in the department or not, are amazing. As long as I continue to have, an impactful relationship with them, that's all that matters to me.
Awesome, man. And I feel like what you're saying shows that every part is intricate in and of itself. Like even if you're on the janitorial staff, because I feel like us as people, going back to what we're talking about with the titles, like we like to associate value with these titles, but every title has value, and that's why it exists in the first place. So just like somebody might not think about the intricacies that go into your position, like you said, you love seeing everybody that's in every position because you realize that hey, there's value in all of those positions.
All the positions, all the people have value, right? And I think that's what's awesome about it. And yeah, there's not a person at RU who I don't love, interacting with and, being a part of this greater journey at this university. So.
Well, Michael, appreciate you, man. I'm glad you're able to see your value. And that's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining us. And that's going to be it for today on our Be Artist, Be Athlete podcast. See you next time. And that's going to do it for our show today. Again, I am your host, Z Shep. This is the Be Artist, Be Athlete podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to our sponsors. Listen, don't forget, hit the RU Athletics team store. It is now open. What are you waiting for? www.ruathletics.com/team store. I will see y'all next time. And listen, go Urban Knights.